Did you know that Genghis Khan was the ancestor of thousands of Asian men? Scientists say his DNA is in millions of people today because he had so many children and his empire was huge. And here's another wild one. Did you know Julius Caesar wore a laurel wreath to hide his bald spot? These two leaders were legends, and today we're pitting them against each other. Caesar versus Khan. Who ruled the world better? They built empires that stretched across millions of miles, but in totally different ways. Caesar used his political genius to take over Rome and beyond, while Khan united tribes with a system where skill beat family ties. It's an exciting clash of brains and bravery. Here's a crazy fact. Caesar got kidnapped by pirates at 25. He laughed and told them he'd crucify them, and after they let him go, he did just that. Khan, on the other hand, banned slavery in his lands and gave jobs to soldiers who proved their talent, not just the rich kids. Caesar said, "Veni, vidi, vici," which means I came, I saw, I conquered. Khan had a different take. Conquering the world on horseback is easy. Dismounting to govern is harder. Imagine this. Roman legions marching on one side, Mongol cavalry charging on the other. Their empires were massive, millions of people, endless lanes. So, let's dive into their stories and find out whose lessons you can use in your life today. Get ready for an awesome trip through history. Before we continue, please subscribe to English Starline to learn English through fascinating stories every day. Part 1. The Highlight Reel. How did two underdogs turn the world upside down? Get ready for the highlight reel of Julius Caesar and Genghis Khan. It's like a blockbuster movie starring two champs who started with nothing and won everything. Let's kick off with Caesar. He was a total rock star. He marched into Gaul, which is like modern-day France, swinging swords and winning hearts. Imagine him leading his army, shouting, "We've got this." He didn't just fight. He made life better back in Rome by giving land to poor folks and fixing the calendar. Yep, that calendar you use? Thanks Caesar. His big moment was crossing the Rubicon River, a daring jump that screamed, "I'm here to win!" That boldness opened doors wide, and learners, it's a high five to you. Be brave and chase your dreams. Now let's zoom to Genghis Khan, the ultimate teamwork titan. He built the biggest empire ever, stretching from Asia to Europe like a giant playground. Picture this. Horses galloping, warriors cheering, and Khan saying, "Together, we're unstoppable." He didn't care about fancy names. If you were awesome at your job, you climbed the ladder. That's meritocracy, folks. Skills over status. He invented a horse-powered postal system, think ancient texting, and guarded trade routes like the Silk Road so everyone could share cool stuff. Khan's secret? Teamwork beats bossing people around every time. Learners, grab your friends and tackle your goals together. You're stronger as a crew. So what's the big lesson here? Caesar shows us boldness is magic. He crossed that river not knowing what had happened, but he trusted himself and boom, changed history. You can do that too. Step out, try something wild, and watch doors fly open. Maybe it's speaking English in class or starting a new hobby. Khan's all about unity. His warriors rocked because they worked as one. Think of your squad. Family, classmates, pals. Team up and you'll soar. Picture Caesar's Roman parades, trumpets blasting, and Khan's horse battles, arrows zipping. Two styles, two wins, all for you to copy. This is just the warm-up, learners. Next, we're diving into their jaw-dropping origin stories. How did Caesar go from pirate prisoner to Rome's boss? How did Khan, a kid with nothing, become king of the wild? It's pure inspiration. Along the way, we'll grab some English goodies. Words like empire, a giant land one person rules. Reforms, changes that fix stuff. Meritocracy, where talent wins. Legacy, what you leave behind. And conqueror, a champ who takes over, plus fun phrases. Change the course of history means doing something huge. Rise from humble beginnings is starting small and rocking it, like these guys. Their lives were roller coasters. Caesar dodging political traps, Khan battling rival tribes, but they turned messes into masterpieces. Learners, your story's next. What's your bold move? How can teamwork lift you up? Caesar strutted through Rome like a lion. Khan thundered across plains like a storm. They didn't wait for permission, they acted. You don't need a crown to shine. Start where you are, be brave, and build your own legend. Get pumped, because their wild beginnings are up next. 2 tales to spark your greatness. Part 2. Caesar's background. Let's travel back in time to see where Julius Caesar's story begins. He was born in Rome, a city buzzing with power and chaos, around 100 BC. Back then, Rome wasn't an empire yet. It was a republic, which means people chose leaders to make decisions in a group called the Senate. But things were messy. Politicians argued and fights broke out over who should be in charge. Caesar grew up in this wild world, and his family wasn't the richest or the strongest, so he had to be clever. As a young man, he joined the army, and that's where his adventure really started. One crazy thing happened when he was 25. Pirates kidnapped him. They demanded money to let him go, but Caesar wasn't scared. He even joked with them, saying he'd come back and punish them. After his family paid the ransom, he kept his promise. He gathered ships, hunted the pirates down, and crucified them. That showed everyone he wasn't someone to mess with. From there, Caesar's life got even bigger. He became a military leader and marched into Gaul, a huge area with lots of tribes. He fought battles, built bridges, and won over the people there. His soldiers loved him because he was brave and smart. But back in Rome, not everyone was happy. Some leaders thought he was getting too powerful. Then came the moment that changed everything: crossing the Rubicon River. In those days, generals weren't allowed to bring armies into Rome. It was a big rule, but Caesar did it anyway in 49 BC. He crossed that river with his troops and said, "The die is cast," meaning there was no turning back. That bold move started a war, but it also made him the ruler of Rome. He became a dictator, which means he had all the power. He made changes like giving land to poor people and fixing the calendar, but his enemies didn't like it. On March 15, 44 BC, in the Senate, his own friends turned against him. They stabbed him to death 23 times. One of them was Brutus, a man he trusted. As he fell, Caesar said, "Et tu, Brute?" which means, "And you, Brutus?" His death led to more fighting, and Rome's republic fell apart. Caesar's story is full of ups and downs. He started in a city of political maneuvering, where you had to talk and plan to win. He wasn't just a fighter, he was a speaker who could charm a crowd. Imagine him standing in the Senate, convincing people to follow him, or leading his army across a river into the unknown. His life teaches us that taking risks can lead to huge rewards, but it can also make enemies. That moment at the Rubicon wasn't just a step. It was a leap that changed history. Even today, we say crossing the Rubicon when someone makes a choice they can't undo. And his death? It's a warning about betrayal. Caesar's time as dictator was short. But his name lived on, shaping Rome into an empire after he was gone. Now let's think about some words from his story. Republic means a place where people pick their leaders, like Rome before Caesar. Assassination is when someone important is killed for political reasons. That's what happened to him. Political maneuvering is all the tricky planning and talking to get power. Dictator is a ruler with total control, and Senate was the group of leaders in Rome. Phrases like crossing the Rubicon mean taking a big risk, and et tu, Brute is what you might say when a friend lets you down. Caesar's life was like a storm, loud, powerful, and impossible to ignore. His journey wasn't simple. He had to outsmart rivals, win battles, and keep the people on his side. When he was young, no one thought he'd become so famous. But he climbed higher and higher, using his brain and his courage. Even the pirate story shows his guts. He didn't just escape. He came back stronger. And when he took over Rome, he didn't sit still. He wanted to make things better, like helping the poor and fixing how time was counted. But power comes with a price. His friends in the Senate felt threatened, and that led to his end. It's a wild tale of triumph and tragedy, all packed into one man's life. Next, we'll jump to Genghis Khan's world, a totally different start, but just as incredible. Get ready for a story of horses, battles, and a kid who conquered the impossible. Part 3. Genghis Khan's background. Now let's ride into the world of Genghis Khan, a story that starts in a very different place from Caesar's fancy Rome. He was born around 1162 in Mongolia, a land of wide-open plains and tough nomads. These were people who lived on the move, sleeping in tents and riding horses. His real name was Temujin, and his early life was hard. When he was just a boy, his father was poisoned by enemies, leaving Temujin and his family alone. They were so poor that his mother had to dig up roots to feed them. Then it got worse. Rival tribes captured him, and he was forced to wear a wooden collar like a prisoner. But Temujin didn't give up. He escaped, and that was the start of something huge. As a teenager, he began gathering friends and fighters, slowly building his strength. He had a dream: to unite the Mongol clans, groups of families who were always fighting each other. By his 20s, Temujin was a warrior to watch. He married a woman named Borte, and even when she was kidnapped by enemies, he fought to get her back. That showed his loyalty and grit. Over years of battles, he beat rival leaders one by one. He didn't just kill them, he offered them a choice: join me or die. Many chose to join, and his group grew bigger. In 1206, he called a huge meeting of the tribes, and they named him Genghis Khan, which means universal ruler. From there, he turned his eyes to the world beyond Mongolia. He led his cavalry, soldiers on fast horses with powerful bows, across Asia. They conquered cities, kingdoms, and lands from China to the Middle East. His empire became the biggest in history, covering millions of miles. Picture this: warriors racing across fields, arrows flying, and dust everywhere. That was Khan's way. But Genghis Khan wasn't just about fighting. He was smart about ruling too. He made laws to keep his people together. He banned slavery, which was rare back then, and let different religions exist peacefully, something called tolerance. He built the Silk Road into a safe path for trade, so goods like silk and spices could travel from east to west. He even started a postal system with horses carrying messages across his lands. Khan led from the front, riding with his men, and he rewarded loyalty. If you were good at your job, You could rise high, no matter where you came from. That's strength in unity. His empire worked because everyone had a part to play. His story teaches us how to adapt. Khan grew up with nothing, no money, no safety, but he turned that into power. He wasn't born a king, he made himself one. Imagine being that kid, cold and hungry, then years later ruling half the world. He mastered adaptation, changing his plans to fit every challenge. One time, he tricked an enemy by lighting extra campfires to make his army look bigger. Another time, he used the weather, attacking in winter when no one expected it. His life shows that you can start small and still win big if you're clever and tough. Let's think about some words from his world. Nomad means someone who moves around, like the Mongols with their tents. Clan is a group of families, and Khan united lots of them. Cavalry is an army on horses, his secret weapon. Silk Road was that famous trade path he protected, and tolerance means letting people be different without fighting. Phrases like strength in unity show how he brought people together, and master of adaptation fits a man who always found a way to win. Khan's life was raw and real. Horses galloping, battles roaring, and a leader who never stopped moving. He didn't have Rome's fancy buildings or Caesar's political games. His power came from the open land and the people he inspired. When he started, the Mongol tribes were weak and divided. By the time he was done, they were one nation, feared and respected. He conquered places like China and Persia, but he also built something lasting, a system that kept going after he died in 1227. His sons and grandsons took over, and the empire grew even more. Khan's story is wild because it's about survival. He lost everything as a kid, family, freedom, hope, but he fought back and made history. Next, we'll put him side by side with Caesar to see how they led. Two rulers, two styles, one big question: who did it better? Get ready for the showdown! Part 4. Leadership Style. Let's put Julius Caesar and Genghis Khan side by side and see how they led their people, because their styles were so different, but both worked in their own ways. First, let's look at Caesar. He was a man who could talk his way into power. He had charisma, which means he knew how to charm a crowd and make them love him. Picture him standing in Rome, speaking to the Senate or the people, his words pulling everyone to his side. He was a great orator, someone who could give speeches that stuck in your mind. But he didn't just talk. He ruled through fear, too. When he crossed the Rubicon and took over Rome, he made sure everyone knew he was in charge. If you were his enemy, you'd better watch out. At the same time, he used reform, changes to make things better. He gave land to poor people and fixed the calendar, showing he could be kind as well as tough. Caesar's strategy was to mix charm, fear, and smart ideas to keep Rome under his thumb. Now switch to Genghis Khan. He wasn't about fancy speeches. He led from the front, right in the middle of the fight. Imagine him on horseback, shouting orders as arrows flew around him. Khan didn't sit in a palace. He was out there with his warriors, sharing the danger. That made his men respect him. He didn't rule through fear alone. He rewarded loyalty fiercely. If you fought well or had a good idea, he'd give you a higher job, no matter who your family was. His empire was decentralized, which means he let local leaders handle their own areas as long as they followed him. Khan's strategy was simple but strong. Lead by example, trust your team, and keep everyone moving together. He built a system where hard work paid off, and that's why his Mongol hordes were so unstoppable. So, how do these two compare? Caesar was like a chess player, planning every move in Rome's tricky political world. He had to win over senators, soldiers, and citizens all at once. His leadership was loud and bold. He wanted everyone to see his power. Khan was more like a wolf leading a pack. He didn't care about looking fancy. He cared about winning. His leadership was quieter but just as fierce. He didn't need a big city or a fancy title. His strength came from his people and their trust in him. Caesar ruled a tight, organized place like Rome, while Khan controlled a huge, wild empire spread across plains and mountains. One used words and laws, the other used horses and loyalty. Think about their tactics for a moment. Caesar loved divide and conquer. He'd break his enemies apart, sometimes by fighting, sometimes by talking, so they couldn't team up against him. When he conquered Gaul, he played tribes against each other before taking over. Khan's way was different. He'd unite his side first, bringing all the Mongol clans together, then hit his enemies like a storm. His battles were fast and brutal. His cavalry could ride in, attack, and disappear before anyone knew what happened. Caesar built his power step by step, climbing Rome's ladder. Khan built his from nothing, turning a bunch of scattered tribes into a machine that rolled over kingdoms. Which style feels stronger to you? Caesar's charisma could win hearts and scare rivals at the same time. He made Rome cheer for him, even when some hated him. But it didn't save him from betrayal. Khan's way, leading by example, kept his warriors close. They followed him because they saw him fight with them, not above them. His empire lasted longer because he set up a system that didn't fall apart when he was gone. Caesar's leadership was personal. If he wasn't there, it crumbled. Khan's was bigger than one man, built to keep going. Some words to think about here. Charisma is that special spark that makes people follow you. Loyalty is sticking with someone because you trust them. Khan lived for that. Strategy is your plan to win, and both had great ones. Decentralized means spreading power out like Khan did, while reform is fixing things like Caesar's calendar. Phrases like divide and conquer fit Caesar's tricks, and lead by example is pure Khan. Their leadership shaped their worlds in ways we still feel today. Both men were giants, but they moved differently. Caesar's Rome was all about control, laws, speeches, and a tight grip. Khan's empire was about freedom within rules. Ride hard, fight well, and you'll rise. Next, we'll see how their ideas changed culture from language to trade. 2 rulers, 2 paths. Let's keep exploring. Part 5. Cultural Impact. Now let's see how Julius Caesar and Genghis Khan changed the world beyond their battles. How their ideas left a lasting imprint on culture. First, Caesar. When he ruled Rome, he didn't just win wars, he spread Roman ways far and wide. One big thing was the Latin language. As his armies marched into places like Gaul, they brought Latin with them. Over time, it mixed with local languages and turned into things like French, Spanish, and Italian. That's called cultural diffusion, when one culture flows into another and changes it. Even today, words we use, like calendar or victory, come from Latin roots because of Caesar's time. Speaking of calendars, he revolutionized timekeeping with the Julian calendar. Before him, Rome's calendar was a mess, with months slipping out of place. Caesar fixed it by adding a leap day every 4 years, and we used his system for centuries. It's still the base for our calendar now. His reforms made life more organized, and that's part of his legacy. Then there's the way Caesar shaped Rome's future. He wasn't just a ruler, he set the stage for the Roman Empire. After he died, his adopted son Augustus took over, and Rome grew even bigger. Caesar's laws, his roads, his ideas about power, they became Rome's infrastructure, the foundation that held everything together. He connected people with better systems, like bridges and land for the poor. His cultural impact was about order and spreading Roman life. Imagine ancient texts written in Latin, carried across Europe because of him. His mark is everywhere, even if he didn't live to see it grow. Switch to Genghis Khan, and the story flips. His cultural impact wasn't about one language or one city. It was about connecting the whole world. Khan's empire stretched so far that it linked east and west like never before. The Silk Road, that famous trade path, became safe under his rule. Merchants could travel from China to Europe without fear, carrying silk, spices, and ideas. That's cultural diffusion too, but on a massive scale. People started sharing inventions, like paper and gunpowder, because Khan's empire was a bridge between worlds. He didn't force everyone to speak Mongol or follow one way of life. Instead, he practiced tolerance, letting people keep their religions and customs as long as they obeyed him. Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, they all lived in his lands without trouble. That was rare back then, and it helped ideas spread. Khan also brought innovation. His postal system, with horses racing messages across thousands of miles, was like an ancient internet. It kept his huge empire tied together. Trade routes boomed because he protected them, and that meant more money and goods for everyone. Picture this: a trader in China sending silk to a market in Persia, all thanks to Khan's peace. His impact wasn't about building fancy temples or writing books. It was about movement. He made the world smaller by linking it up. Even after he died, his family kept the empire going, and places like Russia and India felt his influence for years. So, how do these two stack up? Caesar's impact was deep but narrow. He changed Rome and its neighbors, spreading Latin and laws that shaped the West. His Julian calendar lasted over 2,500 years. Talk about a lasting imprint. But his world was centered on Rome. Khan's impact was wide and wild. His empire touched more people and places, mixing cultures from China to Europe. He didn't leave a single language or calendar, but he built a network that carried ideas farther than Caesar ever dreamed. Caesar's culture was about control, making everything Roman. Khan's was about connection, letting differences live but tying them together with trade and roads. Think about some words here. Infrastructure is the systems that keep a place running, like Caesar's roads. Cultural diffusion is how ideas spread, and both men made that happen. Innovation means new ideas, like Khan's postal system. Trade routes are paths for buying and selling, and tolerance is Khan letting people be themselves. Phrases like bridge between worlds fit Khan's big reach, while lasting imprint works for both. Caesar's calendar and Khan's Silk Road still echo today. Which impact feels bigger to you? Caesar gave us structure, language, and time we still use. He was like a teacher, setting rules for the future. Khan gave us links, trade, and tolerance that opened the world. He was like a traveler, joining faraway places. Caesar's Rome became a route for Western culture, while Khan's empire was a highway for global exchange. Both changed how people lived, long after they were gone. Next, we'll look at their downfalls. What went wrong for these giants? 2 epic endings are coming up. Part 6, Downfalls. Let's dive into the final chapters of Julius Caesar and Genghis Khan. how their incredible stories came to an end, and what happened after. First, Caesar. He was at the top of Rome, a dictator with power over millions. But that power made enemies. On March 15th, 44 BC, everything fell apart. He walked into the Senate, the place where Rome's leaders met, thinking it was just another day. Instead, a group of senators, some he called friends, pulled out knives and attacked him. They stabbed him 23 times. One of them was Brutus, a man Caesar trusted like a son. As he fell, bleeding on the floor, he said, "Et tu, Brute," meaning, "And you, Brutus." It was betrayal at its worst. Why did they do it? They thought Caesar had too much control. They feared he'd end the Republic and make himself a king forever. But their plan backfired. After he died, Rome didn't go back to normal. Instead, a civil war broke out, people fighting over who'd rule next. Caesar's death didn't save the Republic. It killed it. His adopted son Augustus won the war and became the first Roman emperor. So, in a way, Caesar's enemies lost. They got an empire instead of freedom. Caesar's downfall was fast and bloody. He'd climbed so high, but pride before a fall got him. He didn't see the knives coming because he trusted too much. His legacy lived on. Rome became an empire. His calendar stuck around. But his own story ended in tragedy. The Senate turned into a battlefield that day, and the chaos that followed showed how fragile his power really was. One man's death sparked years of fighting. It's a lesson. Even the strongest can fall if they don't watch their back. Now Genghis Khan's end was different. No knives, no betrayal, just time catching up. He died in 1227, probably around 65 years old, after a life of non-stop conquest. No one's sure exactly how. Some say he fell off his horse, others think he got sick during a battle. What we do know is he was still leading his army, pushing into China, when it happened. Unlike Caesar, Khan didn't get taken down by his own people. His empire was strong and he'd built it to last. But here's the catch. After he died, succession became a problem. He had 4 main sons, and he picked one, Ogedei, to take over. At first it worked. Ogedei kept the empire growing, even reaching Europe. But Khan's grandsons started fighting over power later. The empire got too big, and fragmentation set in. It split into smaller pieces, like the Golden Horde in Russia and the Yuan dynasty in China. Each part had its own ruler, and they didn't always get along. Even so, Khan's legacy didn't fade fast. His empire lasted for centuries in some places. His descendants ruled China until 1368. That's over 100 years after his death. Compare that to Caesar. Rome's civil war started right away. Khan's downfall wasn't really his. It was his family's. He'd united the Mongols and conquered half the world. But he couldn't control what happened after he was gone. His empire was like sand, strong when packed together, but it slipped apart over time. Still, the trade routes, the tolerance, the connections he made, they kept his name alive. He didn't fall. His creation just changed shape. Let's compare the two. Caesar's end was personal. Betrayal by allies, a dramatic stab scene in the Senate. It was quick and shocking, and it broke Rome apart for a while. Khan's was quieter. Death in the field, doing what he loved, with no one turning on him. His empire didn't collapse, it split. Caesar's downfall came from inside, from people he knew. Khan's came from outside, from the size of what he'd built. Words like betrayal fit Caesar, friends becoming enemies. Succession is Khan's story. Who'd lead next? Civil war was Rome's mess, while fragmentation was the Mongol split. Dynasty fits Khan too. His family kept ruling. Phrases like pride before a fall match Caesar's trust in the wrong people, and empire built on sand hints at Khan's giant but fragile world. Which ending hits harder? Caesar's is a warning. Power can turn friends into killers. Khan's is a question. What happens when a legend leaves? Caesar's Rome rebuilt into something new, but he didn't see it. Khan's empire carried on, but not as one piece. Both show that greatness doesn't last forever. Next, we'll wrap up with some English lessons from their tales. Get ready to learn and quiz yourself. Part 7. English Learning Focus. Let's wrap up this epic journey with some English learning fun. We've followed Julius Caesar and Genghis Khan through their incredible lives, and now it's time to use their stories to boost your skills. One pattern we'll practice is, despite challenge, achievement. This helps you talk about overcoming tough stuff. For example, try this. Despite humble origins, Khan built the largest empire in history. See how it works? Despite shows the problem, starting poor, and the rest shows what he did anyway. Here's another. Despite political chaos in Rome, Caesar became its most powerful ruler. You can use this in your own life too. Maybe, despite a hard test, I passed with a good grade. It's a simple way to sound strong and smart. Another pattern is revolutionized system by action. This one's about big changes. Check this out. Caesar revolutionized timekeeping by creating the Julian calendar. He took something messy and made it better. Revolutionized means changed it completely. Or how about Khan revolutionized trade by protecting the Silk Road? His action made the world different. You could say, my teacher revolutionized class by using games to teach. It's a cool way to show how someone shakes things up. These patterns are easy to learn and make your English pop. Now let's play with some vocab from the video. I'll give you sentences with blanks and you can fill them in. Ready? First one. Caesar ruled a huge Rome Empire. What's that word? It's empire, a big group of lands under one ruler. Next, Khan believed in Asai, promoting people based on skill, not family. That's meritocracy, when talent matters more than who you know. How about this? Caesar's ass in the Senate ended his life. That's assassination, killing someone important for political reasons. One more. Khan's empire stretched across Asia, showing his power as That's conqueror, someone who takes over by force. Try these at home and see how many you remember. Picture this. Words like reforms, legacy, and tolerance floating on the screen as we talk. Reforms are changes to make things better. Caesar loved those. Legacy is what you leave behind. Both men had huge ones. Tolerance is letting people be different. Khan was big on that. These words aren't just history. They're tools for you. Use them to tell your own stories. Maybe you made reforms to your study habits, or you show tolerance to a friend who's different. Practice saying them out loud. It's fun and helps you remember. Let's try those patterns again with you in mind. Think of a challenge you faced. Maybe, despite being shy, I made new friends. Or a change you made. I revolutionized my mornings by waking up early. Say these to yourself or a friend. They're simple, but they make you sound like a leader. Caesar and Khan didn't let hard times stop them, and you don't have to either. Their stories give us phrases like crossing the Rubicon, taking a big risk, or strength in unity, working together to win. Which one fits your life? This is your chance to shine. Pause the video and try filling in more blanks. Here's one. Despite I.N. Add your own challenge and success. Or, I revolutionized sakas by eyes. What did you change and how? Write it down or say it loud. Make it yours. Learning English isn't just about rules. It's about telling your tale, like Caesar and Khan did. They spoke with action. You can speak with words. We're almost done, but this part's all about you. Picture animated text zooming in, those patterns and vocab lighting up the screen. Despite setbacks, I keep going. I revolutionized my day by planning ahead. You're the star now. Caesar and Khan showed us how to be bold and build something great. Use their lessons to talk about your own wins. Next, we'll close out with a big finish, so stick around. Conclusion. Woo-hoo! We've made it to the grand finale of our wild adventure, Julius Caesar versus Genghis Khan. Can you believe how exciting this ride has been? Caesar was like a superhero of laws, giving us a calendar that still rules our days. Imagine him saying, "I've got time under control." Khan was the king of trade, building roads that turned the world into one big neighborhood, full of cool stuff and big ideas. These guys didn't start with gold or castles. One was in crazy, messy Rome, the other out on the windy plains. But they had a secret weapon: courage. Caesar jumped over the Rubicon like it was a puddle and flipped Rome upside down. Khan rounded up tribes and built an empire so huge it's like something out of a dream. Their stories shout at us. You don't need a perfect start. Just grab some guts and go for it. So, learners, here's your big question. Which leader would you cheer for? Caesar, with his smooth talk and wild plans, or Khan, with his teamwork and lion-sized heart? Splash your answer in the comments. I'm bouncing with excitement to read it. Now let's shine the spotlight on you. What's your Veni Vidi Vici moment? That's Caesar's awesome line. I came, I saw, I conquered. Maybe you smashed a fear, rocked a hard test, or gave a buddy a hand when they needed it. Tell us your story below. It doesn't have to be giant, just real and yours. This video isn't just about two dusty old rulers. It's a treasure chest of inspiration for you today. Did you love this epic showdown? Hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell, because we've got more fun stories coming your way every single day of the year. We're your English learning buddies here to make it a blast, 365 days strong. Let's keep the party going with some super fun questions. First, which leader's trick would win today? Caesar's bold moves or Khan's team spirit? Pretend you're the boss of a crew. Would you dazzle them with charm like Caesar or glue them together like Khan? Tell us your why. It's your chance to shine. Second, spill a time you crossed the Rubicon, took a daring leap that flipped your world. Maybe you tried a new sport, spoke up in class, or chased a crazy idea. Big or tiny, we're all ears. Caesar and Khan bossed around millions, but your adventure is just as cool. Imagine their empires fading into a misty battle scene and boom, our logo pops up, English Star Line. That's us, sparking history to life for you awesome learners. High five for sticking with us. You're amazing. Next video, we'll dive into more tales, so don't miss out. Keep being brave, keep soaking up English, and let's conquer those language goals together. You've got this.
Thanks for watching English Starline. Subscribe now to keep learning English through the amazing stories of famous lives.